Islam is the dominant faith in Xinjiang. But at Kashgar's Idka Mosque, worshippers are reminded of a higher authority. A sign at the entrance proclaims, "Love the party, love the country." Close by, photos of President Xi Jinping are projected onto a giant screen. In one, he's surrounded by a group of fawning local Muslim Uighurs. The pictures are more than 4 years old. The streets are quiet in this ancient oasis city on the old Silk Road. You're closer to Baghdad than Beijing here, but one thing strikes you quickly. Where are all the young men?
In vocational education and training.
State TV's been providing answers. Some of these men and women are getting an education in what are described as vocational training centres that offer occupational skills, language, cultural and psychological training. Skills their parents prevented them from learning at school, says one political commentator.
But they cannot find productive employment in the cities and other areas where they would need these basic skills, reading, writing, communication in Chinese.
Human rights groups say wearing a veil or growing a beard is enough to get you sent here. At first, the government denied the existence of the camps. Now it's proudly defending the internment policy. XIJIN is the editor of the Global Times newspaper, a tabloid mouthpiece for the government. He says there are more than 1,000 violent attacks a year in Xinjiang. There's no independent evidence to support that.
Through tough control, Xinjiang has avoided the same extremism that has happened in a lot of other places in the world.
China's leaders argue that these harsh measures are needed to prevent bomb and gun attacks associated with Uyghur separatism. Violence that they say has cost the lives of hundreds of Han Chinese people in the past decade. One attack in Urumqi in 2014 happened the day after a visit by President Xi Jinping. It was at about this time that President Xi Jinping began promoting what was to become a key economic policy, the so-called One Belt, One Road initiative, the plan to bind China to Europe and the Middle East through infrastructure, trade and investment. But for that ambitious plan to work, Xinjiang has to work. During our time in Xinjiang, our movements were tightly controlled by government minders, who later forced us to delete much of our video. We were warned not to talk to anyone, even about the Silk Road project. This is a replica of Kashgar's old city. The original, we were told, is still being rebuilt, just as it was 3 years ago, when I was last here. Here we were presented with a picture of ethnic harmony. An elderly Uyghur man and Chinese tourist dancing. A spontaneous moment, insisted our minders, but like the setting, it felt contrived. Adrian Brown, Al Jazeera in Kashgar.